There are athletes who win, and then there are athletes who change the entire conversation around what is possible in their event. And right now, in the women's 800 meters, we are watching someone do exactly that. The numbers she has been putting up in 2026 are not just impressive, they are historic. Everything she has built toward this summer, every race, every calculated decision, has been pointing toward one moment, one target, one date on the calendar that the whole of British athletics has been circling. And then, on a Sunday afternoon in Birmingham, the whole plan nearly came apart. She stood at the start line, looked at the track in front of her, and made the hardest call an athlete in her position can make. This is the story of why that decision might end up being the most important thing she has done all year, the UK Athletics Championships in Birmingham. For context, this is the national stage. Every elite British track and field athlete wants to perform here. It is a qualifier, a showcase, and for someone like Hodgkinson, it was supposed to be the final major tune-up before the biggest race of her life. She had already come through the heats on Saturday. She had qualified for the 400-meter final. Sunday was supposed to be the day she sent one last message to the rest of the world before London. Instead, moments before the final was due to start, she walked away from the track, visibly emotional, and the whole of British athletics held its breath. Keely Hodgkinson, 24 years old, born on the 3rd of March 2002 in Atherton, Greater Manchester. And if you do not understand why the entire track world has been locked in on everything this woman does in 2026, stay right here, because the story is unlike anything else happening in this sport right now. She started competing in her early teens, and by 2018 she was already a European under-18 champion. At 19 years old, she went to the Tokyo Olympics and won silver, breaking the British record in the process. She was supposed to be the next big thing. What nobody anticipated was how fast the next big thing would become the biggest thing. Silver at the 2022 World Championships, silver at the 2023 World Championships, then Paris 2024, where she finally converted that promise into Olympic gold at 1 minute 56.72. Throughout all of it, she has been coached by Trevor Painter and Jenny Meadows at the M11 Track Club in Manchester, a husband and wife setup that World Athletics recognized with their Coaching Achievement Award in 2024. And then 2026 happened. This is not just development anymore. This is arrival. Here is where things get serious. In February 2026, Hodgkinson traveled to Liévin, France, and ran a women's indoor 800-meter world record of 1 minute 54.87. The previous record had been set by Jolanda Seplak in 2002. And here is the detail that makes this almost impossible to believe. Seplak set that record on the exact same day Keely Hodgkinson was born. She broke the record that was set the day she came into the world. You cannot write that story. A month later, she won gold at the World Athletics Indoor Championships in 1 minute 55.30, the second fastest indoor 800-meter in history, behind only her own world record from weeks earlier. Then came Stockholm on June 7th, her first outdoor 800-meter of the season at the Bauhaus Galan Diamond League. Audrey Werro of Switzerland ran one of the greatest women's 800-meter races ever recorded and crossed the line in 1 minute 53.98, only the third woman in history to break 1:54. Hodgkinson ran second in 1 minute 54.33, a new British record, and the fastest ever non-winning time in the history of the event. She ran second and still ran the 6th fastest 800-meter any woman has ever run. She said afterwards that she still believed the world record was hers to take in London. She said she would not let that happen again. And then she came to Birmingham. The reason she was competing in the 400-meter at Nationals matters. She has been using the shorter distance to sharpen her first lap speed. The piece her coaches believe is the final variable that unlocks the world record. Running the 400-meter at these championships was part of that process. She came through the heats on Saturday without issue, qualified for the final, and Sunday arrived. She went through her warm-up routine, and that is when she felt it. Tightness in the hamstring, not a sharp snap, not an acute tear, but the kind of signal you do not ignore when you already know what hamstring injuries have cost you. Here is what a lot of casual observers of this story might not know. Hodgkinson was sidelined for 376 days, with hamstring-related injuries heading into 2025. over a year out. She has since described that stretch as a complete mess. She had to rebuild from zero, racing only twice in the entire 2025 season before traveling to Tokyo for the World Championships, where she won bronze. Every one of those 376 days was still in the back of her mind on Sunday morning. When her hamstring flagged in warm-up, she listened. She stepped off the track. She did not race the final. Amber Anning went on to defend the 400-meter title, and Hodgkinson stood on the infield, visibly emotional, because competitors do not walk away from races easily. Speaking immediately after the withdrawal, she kept it short and direct. I wasn't feeling 100% standing on the start line, so I made the tough decision to step away and not race. I didn't want to risk anything this summer. That is an athlete who knows exactly what is at stake and exactly what it cost her to say that out loud in that moment. Later that evening, she posted on Instagram. She wrote, "Leaving championships healthy. Sometimes the hard decision is saying no. Body wasn't feeling 100%. Exciting summer ahead." Jenny Meadows went straight to social media to calm the noise, responding to worried fans directly. She confirmed the hamstring tightness was precautionary, that Hodgkinson had done her cool-down jog, seen the physiotherapist, and been given the all-clear. Her exact words to one concerned supporter were, "She is not injured. It was a precaution. The plan for London stays completely intact." Before we look ahead, Audrey Werro deserves more than a passing mention in this conversation. That 1 minute 53.98 in Stockholm was not just a win over Hodgkinson. It was the first time a woman has run sub 154 in the 800-meter in nearly 43 years. Werro is 22 years old. She pushed Hodgkinson to a British record in the same race, while herself moving to third on the all-time list. The women's 800-meter now has two athletes operating at a level this event has not seen in decades. The conversation around Jarmila Kratochvilova's world record of 1 minute 53.28 is no longer a question of whether it falls. It is a question of when and who gets there first. The London Diamond League is next. The Novuna London Athletics meet is where Hodgkinson has publicly identified as her world record window. Werro will also be on that start list. The conditions need to line up: the weather, the pace strategy, the crowd, the race dynamic. Hodgkinson has spoken about the London Olympic Stadium, with a British crowd being the setting she wants. Her coaches have confirmed the training data supports a genuine attempt. The 400-meter split lap work she has been doing in Manchester has averaged 49.1 seconds in training. The math is there. The body just has to show up on the right night. And that is still not the end of the summer. The European Athletics Championships come in August, also in Birmingham. This Hodgkinson and Werro rivalry is not a single race story.